Welcome to episode 3 of the Speed Diaries. Today we are going to be jumping into a couple of life updates, goal updates for once Plod to PB is finished, and then just a couple of rambles while we're all on the way. Today you're going to be joining me along the Worthway in my hometown of East Grinstead, where I'm going to do this week's long run. The goal for today's run is 5 to 7 kilometers, essentially depending on how my foot holds up, which if you follow me on Instagram, you know I've been having some foot troubles, and this is probably the longest run that I'm doing since that's kind of been rehabbed. Anyway, much less chat, let's get on with the run. So let's get into the first point, which is somewhat of an apology and also an injury update. I have a huge habit, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are the same. I get a little bit flat and feeling down and out when I get injured and I can't be, training properly and following the plan as such. So I know I probably don't need to, and I would probably tell my clients off for the same sort of thing, but apologies. I have not been on my game with creating content for the last couple of weeks, but evidently episode 3 is back up. We are on the go. We're about 1 kilometer in and we're feeling good and strong. Since the injury has stopped flaring up, I've managed 2 easy runs, a speed session, and now this is the first longer run of the training block. Now, before we get stuck in, someone actually messaged me the other day and asked me how to work out their sort of pace targets for their longer, easier runs. And this is actually a really good argument to say why you should be doing your intervals. I've been creating a lot of content around how to do intervals on my Instagram, but also the reasons why you should be doing intervals. And the main reason is that it's really, really important, especially if you're new to running, to learn what slow feels like and to learn what faster feels like, right? And this is a long run, I'm here to chill the fuck out. But generally speaking, you need to have 2 modes, maybe 3 or 4, but 2 modes to start with. You need to know what easy feels like, and you need to know what hard feels like. And intervals will teach you that. If you need help with intervals, you know who to find. Now, we're going to move on to a very, very exciting life update. I hinted it on Instagram, but there was only a limited number of people that actually saw the post. I think it was on my stories. Anyway, me and Kerry are moving in. Very fucking exciting. Exciting for numerous reasons. Obviously, us moving in, that's great. We haven't actually lived together. We've only been together for let's say 2.5 years. I have a tendency of rounding up, which she always tells me off for. But yeah, we've been together for about 2.5 years, and we've reached the next step where we're going to move into a house together. Exciting reason number 2 is that this is actually the first house that I've ever lived in since moving out from my parents' house. Back when I was 17. So massive step up in terms of hoovering responsibilities, right? I never thought I'd be so excited to hoover a set of stairs before, but here we go. And the third exciting reason is being that I was in a flat. Every time my kids came over to stay with me, they would kind of be shoved into the living room, for lack of a better term. Obviously they had a nice little bed, but it wasn't ideal. They didn't have their own space. And now they do. Now they have a bedroom. So they're still at a great age where they can have bunk beds and they can share the room. But all the same, it's a massive upgrade for them. They get a garden. They'll be living in a nice area, a nice green to play out of in front of the house. Anyway, yeah, it's all around a bloody great outcome, I'd say. Okay, so reached the halfway mark. Decided that 6K today is going to be the distance we're going for. I like to do an out there and back run. So the watch has just ticked past the 3K mark, just turned around, and now we're heading back. And actually, I suppose the halfway mark is a pretty decent point to take a walk break, catch my breath, and also let you know what 2026 has in store for me. If you've been following me for more than 10 seconds, you realise I have more of a lifting background, let's say. Been into my weights now for 10 years, roughly. And running is fairly new into my life. I tried it before. Running fast kept me out of the running world. Thought I could never be a runner unless I could be doing 20-minute 5Ks or whatever. We now know that to be wrong. But since then, I've obviously developed a bit of a following online. I've turned my personal training business into an online running coaching business. which if you need some help with your running, give me a shout and I'll see if I can point you in the right direction. Anyway, one of the main things that got me into running was the sport of triathlon. Now, I put a teaser out on Instagram and tried to get some of you guessing what this next goal is going to be. It's pretty big. I've never done it before. I've done bigger things. A few years ago, I cycled around the whole of the island of Tenerife. Strava screenshot right there to prove it. Raised a bunch of money for charity and nearly died in the process. Now, my journey into triathlon officially has never gone any further than a sprint distance, which for those that don't know, is a 400-metre swim, followed by a 26k bike ride, followed by a 5k run. The whole thing took me, I think, just over 2 hours. Now, triathlon expands over all sorts of different distances. You've got a super sprint, which is one level less than what I did. You've got the sprint, been there, done that. You've got the Olympic distance, you've got the half Ironman distance, and then you've got the big one, which is the full Ironman. Now, don't get excited, I'm not doing a full Ironman next year, but I am going to give the half Ironman a crack. So what does that entail, I hear you ask? Kyron, please tell all of us, what is a half Ironman? Well, it's a 1,900-metre swim, it's a 90-kilometre bike ride, and it's a half marathon bolted onto the end for fun. Now, this depends on quite a lot of factors. Training for the next year or so to try and not only get myself up to the distance, but also get myself into a slightly better situation as far as my pace is concerned. Christ, I'm exhausted today. This is not turning into the best run. Anyway, we still show up. Plus, we're past the halfway mark now, so A, it's going to get progressively better mentally, but also, literally, there's no turning back. We have already turned back, and there's 2k to go. I think I'm under-fueled, but that might be a conversation for another time. Anyway, back to the Ironman conversation. So yeah, my main goal for it is not necessarily a particular time, but I think I want to finish it and be strong, finish it and obviously be proud of the accomplishment of actually completing a half Ironman, collecting the medal at the end, which for me, medal collecting isn't like a massive thing, but I guess they serve as a memento for when you do big shit. Now, half Ironman is definitely considered big shit. So obviously I know that a lot of you just follow me because I run, but the sport of triathlon is calling to me. The full Ironman is definitely on the cards, potentially the year after. I have a bit of a personal challenge to try and keep up with my mate that's already done a half Ironman, and he's set to do a full Ironman the year after. So hopefully if I can keep up with him, you know, swim, cycle, run, pace-wise, then I'll do the full Ironman with him. And Lee, if you're watching, I'm going to try and fucking beat you. But I'm going to get this out there for the record. I already have beat him on distance with the running. I've done a marathon, he has not. Distance on the cycling, I cycled around Tenerife. I think the most cycling he's done is about 90 kilometres for the half Ironman. Got it on record now, Lee. Anyway, I'm going to try and chunk down on the last couple of kilometres on this run. Thank you for joining me this long. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you've come across my Instagram and you're not subscribed already, just hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds and it means that you won't miss out on any videos that I post in the future. If you're new here, same. Either way, drop the video a like. Let me know what you think about this new goal of mine. Let me know if you've done a half Ironman as well, and let me know how it was for you. But from one slow runner to another, happy plodding, and I'll see you in the next one.